Hi friends, welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. My name is Carly and today we're going to talk books. So as a reader, you're probably familiar with the term reading slump. I have definitely been in a few reading slumps myself. They happen typically after I read really lengthy and involved books. I tend to want to pick up an easy, fast-paced read afterwards where I can kind of just turn my mind off. So friends, I have curated a list of 8 books to help you get out of your reading slump. And if you're not in a reading slump right now, make sure to save this video for later. All these books are fast-paced, easy to read, and grab you from the first chapter. So first up is Never Lie by Freida McFadden. Freida McFadden has become really popular in the past couple years. She has written other books like The Housemaid, The Coworker, One by One, The Inmate. I think recently she came out with a book called The Crash. Haven't read it yet, but I do hope to pick it up soon. Never Lie follows the story of a young couple, newlyweds, Trisha and Ethan, searching for a new house when they get stuck inside this estate during a snowstorm, and they believe the house is haunted. They believe maybe they're not the only one, and there are a lot of twists and turns on this one. It is a thrilling ride. The twist at the end totally got me and definitely recommend. Next up is Shatter Me by Tahira Mafi. I recently read Shatter Me on vacation and it took me about 24 hours. It was so good, I did not want to put this book down. I wasn't sure what I was gonna think at first because it is young adult. Also, the writing style is a little curious. The author, you can tell in the first few pages, she has some lines crossed out, so I just wasn't sure how I was gonna feel about it. The premise of this book follows a young woman who unalives people with her touch. It is set in a dystopian future, and the first book has got me hooked. I am so excited to start the rest of the series. It's a really cool read because the main character goes from this insecure, nervous young woman to a powerful, confident female. Next up is the first book in the Ruinous Love trilogy, Butcher and Blackbird by Brianne Weaver. I was not sure what I was going to think of this book because it follows 2 serial unalivers and I wasn't sure how I was gonna feel about that. But this book is so funny and so entertaining. From literally the first chapter, you are in the action and it had me hooked until the last page. I recently also finished the second book in the Ruinous Love trilogy, Leather and Lark, and that one is really good as well. Butcher and Blackbird is funny, easy to read, and a very original story. One of my favorite books from 2024 was Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. This was my first book I read by Lynn Painter, and now she is one of my favorite authors. The story follows Wes and Liz, who are neighbors in high school, and it's kind of like enemies to lovers, fake dating, all of the romance tropes. Lynn Painter writes such great banter that this book had me laughing out loud, kicking my feet, acting like a little teenager even though I'm a 30-year-old woman. This book is so good, and since I've read this, I've also read Nothing Like the Movies and Betting on You. Another favorite author of mine is Ashley Poston, and the first book I read by her was The Dead Romantics. Dead Romantics follows a ghostwriter named Florence Day, who is a ghostwriter for a popular romance author. But the problem is Florence doesn't believe in love. Now, I don't want to give too much away, but Florence has to go back to her hometown after not visiting family in 10+ years. And it's a little like the Addams Family with a touch of paranormal romance in it. This book is so beat up because I honestly lend it to everyone I know because I enjoy it so much. I want everyone to read it. If you haven't read this next book yet, I am surprised because I feel like half the world has, but A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. Honestly, this isn't my favorite book in the series. My favorite book is the second one, A Court of Mist and Fury, but this book got me hooked on the ACOTAR series. It has been some time since I read ACOTAR, but it follows this 19-year-old girl, Farah, who is poor and making her ends meet for her family when she kills a wolf in the woods and is then transported to this fae land where she falls in love with a fae. I feel like that was a very poor description for how incredible this book is. I've also heard people describe it as a Beauty and the Beast retelling, which I can kind of see. It's for sure another one that grabs your attention from literally the first page. The next two books I am going to show you are fantasy as well, and they are also the first book in their series. Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. I had actually picked this book up during a Facebook Marketplace sale. It was kind of a surprise to me. I had never heard of it before, and now I've read the entire series. So the whole series follows this young woman named Evangeline Fox, and in the first book, she is trying to stop the wedding of the man she thinks she loves. So to stop the wedding, she asks for help from the Prince of Hearts and strikes up a deal with him. It is a really good book, and I have fallen in love with all the characters in the series, especially Jack, the Prince of Hearts. I have such a fictional crush on him. Last but not least, another very wildly popular novel is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. When I tell you that this book got my husband into reading and he has not picked up a book in years, that is a really big deal. The whole series is incredible, but I wish I could read this book again for the first time. It is so good. All of these books I have rated 5 stars and I would recommend to my best friends. So whether you're in a reading slump or just looking for your next read, these are all incredible recommendations. I also feel like we covered a couple different genres today. So whether you are a fantasy girly into romance, addicted to thrillers, I feel like I have got you covered. And if you are in a reading slump right now, it is okay. It happens to all of us and it'll be over soon enough. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and also leave me a comment and let me know what you're reading right now.